Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm very happy to be here today to join with you guys, both the 82nd Airborne Division Association and the Special Forces Association. I'm Chaplain Steve Goddard. I'm the Battalion Chaplain for the 404 Civil Affairs Battalion Airborne. Also have the privilege of serving both with the 3rd Battalion, 504th Parachute Infantry Regiment, the 82nd, as well as the 5th Battalion, 19th Special Forces. So it's a great day to be together, to commemorate this opportunity to celebrate the airborne community. I'm going to lead us in prayer to start out. At the end of my prayer, I'm going to recite the Paratroopers Prayer. So if you happen to know that, you can recite it with me together. So let's go to the Lord in prayer. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, we do thank you and are grateful to you for bringing us here together to celebrate and commemorate this Airborne Day. We do ask that we are mindful of those that have gone before us, those that have served and fought and defended this country, and are currently serving and defending our nation. We're grateful for you, for your oversight, for your safety, and for your providence that you have provided us. We ask that you would bless our time together, bless our fellowship, our camaraderie, and esprit de corps as paratroopers. And we ask that you would also bless the food that you provided, and that our fellowship together would be meaningful and encouraging. And now we ask that you would hear the Airborne Paratrooper Prayer. Heavenly Father, hear my call, for through the sky I will soon fall. Stand up, hook up, shuffle to the door. I pray for your will, nothing less, nothing more. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4. My canopy filled, for I count any more. Give me courage in the midst of my fear, to enjoy your world's beauty from way up here. From jumpers and obstacles, float me clear, and safely to the drop zone, help me steer. Feeding these together, prepare myself to land, never more aware that I'm secure within your hand. Guide me and help me as I quickly get to my feet, to conquer every obstacle till the mission is complete. And let us say together as we begin this journey, all the way, knowing that you shall respond, Airborne. 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 All the way. I'll be followed by the 82nd Airborne Association.
Just a minute.
So the 82nd.
All right, for those of you people that don't know me, my name is Vic Bolint. I am the chapter chairman of the 82nd Airborne Division Association North Jersey chapter. It is a great day to be an American. I'd like everybody to do an informal about face so we could say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. About face, please. We're here today to honor the airborne soldier, and specifically the original parachute platoon, Test Platoon. In 1918, Brigadier General Billy Mitchell of the US Army Air Corps was General Blackjack Pershing's Air Service advisor. He suggested to General Pershing that the US Army should employ airborne troops. Now, this was 1918, World War I. General Pershing liked the idea and approved it, but the World War I ended in November 1918, and the idea never went any further. 21 years later, in 1939, General George C. Marshall became the U.S. Army Chief of Staff. General Marshall directed the U.S. Army Chief of Infantry, who happened to be General Lynch at the time, to, quote, make a study for the purpose of determining the desirability of organizing, training, and conducting tests of a small detachment of air infantry with a view to determine whether or not our Army should contain a unit or units of this nature, unquote. Many in the military disagreed with this philosophy and argued that the airborne force was not needed for America in World War II. Despite this thinking, General Marshall gave his approval on 25 July 1940 to immediately establish a parachute test platoon to test the development of airborne troops. So in late July 1940, the original parachute test platoon was established. It consisted of 48 paratroopers, 2 officers, and 46 enlisted. The platoon started training and developing equipment and policies that would be used by future airborne forces. Many of the techniques they developed are actually in use today. The testing, though, was not without risk. There was actually 2 men were killed in the development period. Now, a 1936 graduate of West Point, William Ryder, was interested in airborne operations long before this test platoon was formed. He studied both Soviet and German tactics airborne tactics from the 1930s. Before Lieutenant Ryder even knew about the U.S. Army's interest in airborne operations, he submitted a number of papers to the Army Infantry Board concerning airborne operations and combat. When later, Lieutenant Ryder and 15 other officers were competing to lead the new parachute test platoon, they were required to take a 2-hour written exam on the subject. Lieutenant Ryder was surprised to see that the majority of questions on the exam were taken directly from the papers that he had submitted to the U.S. Army Infantry Board. Needless to say, he got the position. The test platoon's first 2 weeks consisted of tough physical conditioning with classes on parachute history and theory. The training was conducted by a cadre of 5 expert U.S. Army Air Corps parachutists and riggers, led by Warrant Officer Harry Tug Wilson. No jumps were done at this time, though, because there were not enough parachutes. There was an equipment problem, which is unusual in the Army. But Major William Lee was actually the officer in charge of the development of U.S. Army airborne units. For the test platoon's 3rd week, Major Lee sent the platoon to Hightstown, New Jersey, where we are now, because he found out that there were 2 150-foot towers left over from the 1939 New York City's World's Fair. The test platoon spent 10 days in New Jersey before returning to Georgia for the last 2 weeks. After training in New Jersey, the test platoon were in excellent physical condition, and by then they could pack their own chutes. The ground phase of their training was completed after the 7th week, and Lieutenant Ryder said they would be making 5 jumps on the following week. The training cadre leader, again Warrant Officer Wilson, said he would be conducting a demonstration jump using a dummy named Oscar. Oscar was pushed from an airplane and fell to his destruction, and he landed 50 yards from the shot test platoon. Now, apparently this didn't faze the test platoon, because for jump week, platoon leader Lieutenant Ryder was the first one out of the lead aircraft and became the first American paratrooper. The next 3 jumps followed, and with each successive jump, the procedure was improved and equipment was changed. One of the new changes mandated that a trooper standing in the door look out at the horizon and not at the ground, because if you look out at the horizon, you're less likely to freeze in the door. And if you've ever jumped from a helicopter into water from 20 or 30 feet, if you look down at the water, you're going to smack your head in the water. You have to look at the horizon to fall straight down. Let's see, the 5th jump was actually a mass jump conducted in front of General Lynch, Major Lee, General Marshall, and the Secretary of War, Henry L. Stimson. The audience was impressed with the Army's first tactical airborne operation performed by the parachute test platoon. As a result of this success, the U.S. Army formed the 1st Parachute Battalion, which was activated by the War Department on 1 October 1940. It was named the 501st Parachute Infantry Battalion and was located at Fort Benning, Georgia. It took a lot of courage to be a member of the Parachute Test Platoon, and it is an honor to remember them today at this ceremony. God bless America and Airborne. Airborne.
I'll make it. If I fall, we got a Medicare, we're in good shape. So, my name's Lawrence Taylor Sr. I'm president of the Special Forces Association, Chapter 19 for the state of New Jersey in the Northeast here. A brief background on me: I've served in the Coast Guard, I've served with the Army in the 82nd, then I served in the Navy as a CB, and then I came back to Special Forces. And I was in the 505, the 187, the 782nd. I was in quite a few different things back in the old days. A couple of things that I want to welcome you all here, and before I go on further, if you just don't mind just bowing your heads for a few minutes for the people that we've lost. Thank you very much. So a few things other points that I have about jumping out of airplanes, which is quite interesting, is that Amelia Earhart was the first one to jump out of a tower, 115-foot tower here in Jackson. Stanley Switlick and Nunn was, the gentleman, Mr. Nunn, was Amelia Earhart's husband, and he was in partnerships with Switlick to put this thing together. So if you know where Great Adventure is, that's where the original towers were and everything. So that's sort of an interesting thing to look at. Other things that my counterpart here mentioned is when they studied the things, the Russians made the jumps in Finland, and it was such a disaster because they shot everybody as they came down. So tactics improved, but that's how they held the Russians back. Then the Russians did another jump where they had people jumping off the wing at 30 or 40 feet into the snow without parachutes. And then when the Germans made the jump on the island, they about wiped everybody out. The only successful jump the Germans had really was into Holland, or into the Netherlands in that area there. One thing that I can tell you about the American paratrooper that few people recognize, but the 82nd goes back to World War I, so you all know Sergeant York, and so that was the birth of the 82nd, and they go back a long ways. Special Forces, we really tie ourselves to the Devil's Brigade, which was a outfit that was in Montana, and they had 900 Canadians and 900 Americans, and they trained in secret up there in Montana. They went to Italy. They had 5 major campaigns. Their kill ratio for their whole time was 30-1, and they captured over 30,000 prisoners. And so that was a very elite force. The other thing that goes into our background is the British SAS, so it's a combination of those two coming together that we developed out of. And we are considered, in Special Forces, the most highly trained soldier there is. Now, understand the difference between Special Forces and the 82nd. The 82nd is a direct action operation. Special Forces, you're more of a teacher. You're there to teach people how to organize what they have, how to fight, how to live off the land, how to make weapons of what they have, and things of that sort. So 2 entirely different missions. Like the Rangers are direct action. The SEALs are direct action. Air Force combat teams control, they are embedded with Special Forces, and they are embedded with the 82nd or any other operations going on in the Marines or the Navy. So it's quite an interesting background, and I won't talk any longer because I'll just bore you, but I'm proud to have all of you here, proud to see you standing here, and I have a celebrity here that I would like to mention, Mr. Dennis Robbins. We have a picture of him standing with Martha where were you at? Yeah, but where were you at when that was Nam, right? Yeah. So he was handsome then. So God bless you all. Thank you all very, very much. And I feel good because I had the ability to serve, and when I was in the 82nd with the guys from World War II, which were the people that were training me. And then also, most of the guys that went into the original SF came from the 82nd or the 101st. So thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Morning. My name is Sergeant Major Miles Capiello, and I'm with the 404 Civil Affairs Battalion.
Would you say that again? What's it?
I'm a proud member of the 404th, commanded by Colonel Lesedre and Major Cullen, our executive officer. We are one of 6 Reserve Airborne battalions, and I'm just very proud to be a member of that, and with these other fine paratroopers standing before me. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the airborne in the current day operations and in the future. And I'm going to be very brief because I know we all want to get to lunch. For recent operations, back in 1983, during Urgent Fury, you had the Rangers that jumped into Grenada for a rescue operation. Very successful. In 1989, for Operation Just Cause in Panama, we had both the Rangers and the 82nd Airborne jump in. In 2002, the Rangers jumped into Afghanistan to take over an airfield. And in 2003, the 173rd Airborne Division out of Italy jumped into Iraq, into northern Iraq. One thing I'm proud to say is that our battalion is aligned with the 173rd, so if they ever go somewhere, we hope to be with them, right? We hope to be. There were other airborne operations on a smaller scale with special operations throughout the years that happened to be very successful. Talking about the future, there's a lot of people a lot higher in rank than me that want to do away with the airborne, that say it's not necessary, or it's not even practical today. And but there are others that stand to differ. I mean, the airborne, major airborne assaults from the 82nd Airborne Division are highly effective against like lines of communications, supply routes, and even to take over, although the Rangers their prime mission is to take over airfields, you have the 82nd, you have the 173rd, and the Airborne Battalion up in Alaska that are also trained to do that. So there still is a need for airborne for conflicts in the future. But I think airborne is here forever. Happy National Airborne Days to all of us. And I'm going to turn this over to our battalion commander, Colonel Jean-Paul Lecedre.
Thanks, Marcus.
Sorry, sir.
Appreciate it. Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hey, thanks to the 82nd Airborne Association, to the Special Forces Association. My name is JP Lecedre. I'm the battalion commander of the 404th. We're just over at Joint Base MDL, a few miles away from here. We're a battalion of about 250, 240, mostly paratroopers. I've been in command for about a year and a half. I've been serving at the US Army Civil Affairs Psychological Operations Command, which is an airborne command. I've gotten the privilege of serving as a paratrooper in 4 out of the 6 battalions that Miles just told us about, and got to join this battalion about a year and a half ago as its commander. Thank you also. I don't want to forget the Chaplain Goddard. He actually gave that airborne prayer a couple days ago at one of our jumps, and moments later followed me out of the helicopter and was promptly blown into a series of trees right off the drop zone. So the prayer worked okay for him because he's still standing over here. He came out with a dirty uniform and no injuries whatsoever, so I guess it works a little bit. Just a couple of quick reflections on just being a paratrooper. I know that I think most of us standing here are. We all make up something that really spans 80 years of Army Airborne. No matter where all of our careers have led us, through the military or through civilian life, we all share that common experience of being paratroopers, whether we're 82nd, Civil Affairs Psychological Operations, Special Forces, or Rangers. And that's really what we're here today to celebrate. Myself, as a 19-year-old West Point cadet, I remember going to Fort Benning, going through airborne school, and for a lot of us in our careers, no matter how far we progressed, that was like one of the first real Army schools we went to. And I remember when I got my wings, I remember the moment I got my wings, and it all just kind of hit me. Not just how proud I was of getting through the 3 weeks and jumping out of the airplanes, conquering that fear that kind of all rational human beings have of heights, and maybe some of us don't. There's some more rational among us, but I remember also that history that I'd grown up as a kid, just kind of learning and seeing those wings. Something that not only in the U.S. Army, but if any of you have ever traveled overseas, these wings mean a lot to other militaries and other people. That's a history that shared experience that I was talking about that we have. And if all of you right now just can take a minute and think about that moment when you got your wings as well, and often for a lot of you inaugurated some pretty incredible military careers. Just talking to you, I can see that. As I mentioned 2 days ago, we jumped Coil DZ. I think probably many of you, if not most of you, have been there. And by the way, you're always welcome, each and every one of you, to come by and be that part. We like that lineage. We want our soldiers to have your shared experience as well. I'll tell you, the greatest pride of my military career is to be able to lead paratroopers out the door as a battalion commander, and to share that experience, because that's how we build that shared experience that we were talking about, and we share it under a canopy, basically. And that's, I think, the meaning of this day. So today we celebrate the first paratroopers that we did get to hear that really excellent history about. But I think more than that, we share the common experience that we all have between those paratroopers. And I think that stems, and I was asking some people, between either 1949 or 1954 all the way to about 2015, 2014. So about 60 or 70 years of airborne experience in this room among this small group. That's almost the entire history of Army Airborne. So as I stand here, probably among the newer, but not the newest among you, about 20 years now as a paratrooper, I'm proud to share that experience with you, and I appreciate, and we all are very thankful for your invitation to share that with you today. So thank you so much, and Airborne.
That's it. That's the end of this little ceremony. Again, it's time now to just, amongst ourselves, get to know each other and talk about our experiences. One quick question before I break this. Sergeant Mammerl, or actually Sergeant Williams, Sergeant First Class Williams. Sergeant First Class Williams went to jump school in 2015. I need to know who went to jump school the earliest. I have a 1954. Anybody before that?
54.
54, come on up, if you would.
67.
Yeah, you're a young guy. So there you have it. And I can almost guarantee jump school was the same. 58, yeah, you're a young guy.
54.
54, right here. There you have it. Our oldest paratroopers and our youngest paratrooper. And I bet the school is exactly the same.
But what's even better was I pinned the wings on my grandson.
There you go. That is great. Oh, you know what? One more thing before we break. First Sergeant Garcia, stand up here. First Sergeant Garcia was in the 82nd Airborne Division 15 years ago, and her son is currently a paratrooper in the 82nd.
And I gave him my wings too. I gave him his
For me.
And that ends the ceremony.
Okay.
Enjoy.